Well, it wasn't the prettiest thing in the world, but I tell you this, the prettiest thing was those fans, and especially that student section. I know I've talked about it all week about really being excited about experiencing Nippert Stadium for the first time at night in a really, really hostile-like environment. And I heard Chip Kelly mention at halftime. He said something to me before the game even started about, just the stadium and the atmosphere and the student section. It was a factor. They were a lot better. Maybe they were a little cleaner than we were. I'm not sure exactly what they were saying, but I'm sure they may have done a little bit of a better job. But all in all, I think that what you saw from us was who we really are. A team that can fight it out, grind it out, and find a way to be successful. And I think the greatest epitome of that might just be that play right before half. To see Josiah DeGar run 60-so yards, never give up, get a guy down and give us an opportunity to not lose complete momentum of the entire game. That's what we pride ourselves on.
Questions? How much of a statement is that to the rest of the team for a senior captain to do that?
Well, it'll be the first play that we watch tomorrow as a team. And I know that Dez won't want to watch it, and some of those guys won't want to watch it, but the reality is, it's how we learn from what effort and attitude really is. We talk about not letting a brother down. Just because throw a pick's not letting a brother down. But to see somebody go after it and do that, I think that's what we pride ourselves on, and we're going to have to continue it. And when you got a senior captain that is an example of it, we're going to use it.
A lot of questions coming in on defense between the guys you lost and now some recent injuries. Picked up right where you left off.
I'd like to say I was I knew that was going to happen. But I got to give them a lot of credit. I give Coach Freeman and that whole staff, Coach Tenuta and all those guys, a lot of credit for, as well as James Wiggins and Javon Hicks. I mean, I know I was down a bit there on Wednesday when we got the news on James, and they didn't bat an eye. They kept battling. They prepared Javon. They prepared Kyreek McDonald. We've kind of had that idea. Hey, we're gonna play these guys. We didn't know we weren't going to play without one, but. They had done a great job through camp, and it really showed out tonight.
How big for Javon? Kind of a roller coaster of a game, but gets a fumble recovery, makes a big interception.
He does. And you know what? I mean, there's going to be a lot of plays we can get better at, but I tell you what, there's no greater thing than gaining confidence. And not just confidence from playing, but confidence from making some plays. Making mistakes, too. Making mistakes and overcoming mistakes, I think, is so huge. And his growth is going to be really, really high. And he's going to have to keep growing, and we're going to have that as expectations. But I was really happy to see it.
What went into heating up their quarterback getting in the backfield?
I mean, we played probably 11 guys up front, maybe 10, 11 guys for sure up front. And, we stopped blitzing really on a lot of the third downs because we just felt like those guys were starting to, kind of wear on them, and it's always the name of the game. I mean, in different ways, you got to try to affect the quarterback, whether it's coverage, moving around, or finding ways to get to him and hit him. And by middle of the second quarter and into the second half, I think up front we found some ways, not just blitzing, but just those guys being relentless. And it's tough because he can move, and he can make you look bad sometimes when you think you're free. And it can get frustrating, but those guys did an unbelievable job of continuing to stay under control, trying to keep him in the pocket, not losing a lot of the edges and things that sometimes you want to do when you get in those situations.
All the talk's been about Perry being healthy all camp, but to see him out there, did it look exactly like he did pre-injury?
Yeah, because he did the flip and dropped the interception. Yeah, that reminds me a lot of what Perry would do. But no, Perry's been felt all through camp, and I think that's sometimes what I know I missed from him late in the year last year. And it's not just on Saturdays, it's not just on Thursday night, his play, but his energy every single day. He's just one of those guys. You got to have him, those energy givers, and he does it on game days, but he does it every single day. And when the lights come on, he is ready to play. And it was exciting to have him back out there this year.
Luke, I know you talked about last year, but the plane ride back from the Rose Bowl, just kind of how that set the tone for the season. Tonight's different, but how much can tonight really set the tone once again for the season?
I mean, you got to start. You got to get some momentum and generate and create it. We did it last year. we created incredible momentum, and we were able to weather some storms and things like that, and we carried it all through the off season. Starting a season is difficult. I said it on Tuesday at the press conference, and you just don't know. I mean, we weren't very clean, and you roll out there and you haven't. I mean, we went live twice, all camp probably with the ones, and so the ball security and some of those things and the movements and is difficult. But to get this under your belt, there's going to be a lot of growth for a guy like Lorenz Metz, who maybe jumped or nudged offsides 3 or 4 times. And it's tough and it's hard, and I know he's probably a little bit down, but the reality is there's no greater way to grow than in the heat of the fire, and he'll grow from that. Javon Hicks will grow. We'll have a lot of guys that'll grow from these type of victories.
Other than the false starts, how do you think Mets held up? It didn't seem like they really caused any problems.
No, I mean, when he gets his hands on you, he's really good, and I think that the confidence you got to build, it's not easy. It's a lot easier to come in and play defensive line than it is to play O-line. There's a lot more mental side of things on that offensive line, and so he has done a really, really good job. I know that he was a little nervous. I mean, I don't think he ate before the whole day, and but I think he did one heck of a job, and I think he's going to continue to get better.
Luke, the event obviously was a big deal. National TV, the raucous crowd, the whole nine. Was the University of Cincinnati beating UCLA again that big of a deal?
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, for this program, it is. But I think I said it to the students the other day when we had the little convocation. I said this was an opportunity, and probably one of the first ones in a while, to show what kind of energy we really have on campus. And I know it's a sporting event and you can see it, but you can learn so much about what's going on the campus, and your students especially, by events, and events like this, a Thursday night. I'd say this is an opportunity for us to show the country, not just our football team, but what our university and the energy that's behind this.
You've talked a lot about having to deal with success and kind of higher expectations after last season, even with some of the self-inflicted errors, turnovers, and penalties, things like that. Do you feel like the team was able to do that?
Yeah, they kept their confidence. I think that comes from winning. I think that we learned a lot last year about how do you battle through and continue to have success, whether we got beat or lost or whatever it was. And you saw that today. There wasn't a panic. There wasn't a panic. We turned the ball over going into halftime, and there wasn't a panic. And, we give up a 72, 73-yard botch on defense, and there wasn't a panic. That didn't even happen early on last year. So I think the growth, and I said that, and the maturity from having some of that success last year was really seen today.
Other than the throw at the goal line, what do you think of Ritter's night?
A lot of people won't know it. He probably won't be down here to talk because he lost his voice in the first half. So we had to go to a silent count. We had to actually have our guard and center start making all the calls. He couldn't make checks. So there's a lot of other things that were going on with him that made it even more difficult. I think that the flow of the game made it a little bit more difficult on him. He was slinging and throwing the ball pretty good early. You get up a little bit, you think you can start to run the football a little bit more and impose your will. And I think we maybe, took that out of his hands a little bit. But all in all, he did a great job at managing the game, controlling himself, understanding what we needed to do, and battling through not being able to talk to or make any communications to the guys up front.
Was he sick, or is it just he lost?
No, I don't know. He just just basically lost his voice. He couldn't. That's why we were starting to have to. That's why you saw the guard and center doing what they did. Hopefully, by tomorrow morning he'll be fine. But it was just one of the. I don't know. We have no explanation, I guess.
Warren got a little banged up at the end, but went back in. Dokes.
He was dancing in the locker room afterwards.
Dokes seemed to go out though, and
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him. I know that he got banged up in the third quarter, I think. But hopefully he'll be okay. I haven't really heard, haven't had an opportunity to go in there and see. He didn't come back in. Obviously, Mike and Ryan Montgomery had to fill the role there for a while.
Do you guys expect to get Wiggins back at any point this season?
I don't think so. He is a freak, but I don't know how freaky he really is. And for the future of himself, I think that it'll just be great to have him back again next year.
Before the game, Desmond Howard apparently said, "You've got UCLA tonight, then Ohio State. Win those and then run the table, and people will start talking about you." Any reaction to
I just go one at a time. I think he said some crazy stuff last week too, somebody told me. But I don't watch. That's a plan. That's a goal. But it's really difficult to put anything out in front of celebrating this right now and having some time to get on to the next one.
Luke, are you extra amped? I know it's early. I know you've got time to go back to Columbus for that game already.
I'm going to enjoy this one right now, and we've got some extra time, so it'll be good. That's what I told our guys. I don't want them to think about it. They actually have an opportunity to have, 40 or so hours off that we didn't get after camp, that you normally do having a Thursday night game. So they've got some time off here, and I want them to relax and not worry about that till we get rolling on Sunday.